Okay, so laid out in front of me are all the patterns I need to make one bat printed out. And these are the patterns that are gonna make up the body. And then these are the patterns that are the wings, the ears, and it's in the little feet. And you can choose whatever colors of paper you want, but just make sure that you print the wings and the ears and those pieces out on cardstock. You want it to be something that's thick and heavyweight. The parts of the body you want to print on you can just print on regular printer paper. And the first step is just to cut all these pieces out. But before you start cutting, make sure that you look at this key. You can see that only solid lines are the lines that you're gonna cut. Make sure that you don't cut lines that are dashed because those you're gonna crease. Dotted lines, do not cut or crease them. Hollow circles is where you're gonna put a dot of hot glue, and then dark filled in circles is where you're going to hole punch. So again, make sure you're only cutting the solid lines. Also, if you print out parts of your bat on black paper, you can. It's just a little bit harder to see those lines. If you look at my black paper up close in the camera, you can see in good lighting the lines that are supposed to be cut. Okay, so like I said, the first step is just to cut all this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. So I've cut out these first three pieces from the first sheet with the key on it. And just a little tip, so that way you don't have to cut out three identical sheets. If you want to go a little bit faster, just print off one of these sheets. The other two, you don't need to print off. What you can do is grab two blank sheets, put them together behind this one, and then staple them together. Honestly, in as many places as you can. So that way, every time you cut out one of these shapes, you're cutting out two more because you stapled two sheets to the back of that. So that's a way to go a lot faster. And again, you can always add more staples as you go along to help hold it together as you cut. The only downside to doing this is now on the two pieces you got underneath this one, they don't have the dotted line that tells you where to crease it, and they don't have that little circle where you know you're supposed to put hot glue. But if you're feeling confident, these aren't that hard to crease in half, just line up the edges, and it's, still simple enough to put a crease that goes right down the middle of it. Not too hard. And as far as the dot of glue goes, it's just right in the middle of this piece at the very edge. Look at the length of the piece. Where's the middle of that length? And then come to the edge, and that's where you're gonna put a dot. All right, and now that I have all the pieces of the body cut out, I'm gonna start on my cardstock piece. And you're gonna notice that on some of these shapes on the cardstock piece, there are lines within the shape. So that you're supposed to cut. So of course you're gonna cut all the way around the outer edge of the bat wing, but you're also going to cut this solid line inside the bat wing. You're also gonna cut this line here, and you're gonna cut this line here using an X-Acto blade. On the ears, there's that solid line as well that you're gonna cut. And I'm using this white sheet right now so you can see the lines that I'm talking about more easily. And like I said, these lines in particular on the bat wings, you're gonna have to use an X-Acto blade or a box cutter to cut those. So now that all the pieces are cut out, it's time to start creasing those dashed lines. Remember, if we look at our key, all dashed lines are supposed to be creased. So I'm gonna start with the dashed lines on all the pieces of the body. So you're just gonna crease right along that line. Folding the piece in half. And we want this circle to be on the inside of the folded piece. So I'm actually going to reverse the crease and flip it the other way like this. So now that circle is on the inside and it's blank on the outside. But it's hard to crease at first with the line on the inside. It's hard to be more accurate that way. So I like to crease it out first so that way I can make sure I'm actually creasing on that line. And then once I have it creased, I can just reverse the crease and flip it the other way. And if you cut them out the way that I did, you're gonna have some pieces that don't have lines on them. So you're just gonna do your best to bring the edges together, line them up. And then once you have them lined up, you can go ahead and give it a good crease. And you want your creases to be pretty sharp. So now go ahead and crease all of your pieces. And then also make sure that you crease the dashed lines on the pieces that are on the cardstock sheet. So that short line there, this little line here, and those two lines. And also these three lines within this rectangular piece. And in case you couldn't see how I creased these pieces on the black paper, I'm gonna show you on white paper so you can see that more easily. And then remember, these two solid black dots are to be hole punched out. All right, and now that everything is cut out and creased, it's time to start gluing. So I'm gonna start with the purple body first. And remember that these pieces have this small circle right here that tells you where the glue is supposed to go. So I'm gonna give myself a dot of glue right inside that circle. And I'm gonna pinch and close it for a second. So that way the piece stays closed like this. And I'm gonna do that to all of these pieces now. And for the ones that don't have the dot on them, if you cut them out the way that I did, where I layered the blank sheets underneath the top piece, then you won't have that dotted line and you won't have that circle. So you're just gonna have to eyeball where it goes. But essentially, you're just gonna look at the length of the piece, find where the middle of that would be, and then once you find the middle, come to the edge and put a dot. So I'm gonna do all these pieces now. Now that I have all of these glued, I'm gonna count out 8 of them and put them in a binder clip. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what we wanna do is take these 8 and line them up. Stack them and line them up. Give it a little tap on the sides to line up those edges. And then once I have them all lined up like this, I'm gonna carefully put them in the binder clip. And I'm gonna put the binder clip towards the back for right now, leaving this, the head of the bat, to where it can open. All right, and now I'm gonna put a line of glue in between each one of these pieces where the head of the bat is. And I'm gonna show you with the pencil line where you're going to extrude that glue. I'm gonna draw it on there. Right, you want a line of glue that is about that long and about that far away from the edge of the top of the head right there. And then close this. Make sure it's lined up when I squeeze it. We don't want to squeeze too hard because then the glue will come oozing out the top. We just want to barely press it together and give that a second to dry. And you're going to put glue in between all of these pieces in the same spot, that same line of glue in between each one. Okay, and once they're all glued together, then you're gonna take your binder clip and you're gonna slide it down to the part that you've already glued. And now we're gonna glue up the end of the bat's body. And again, I'm gonna show you with the pencil line where you're going to put the glue. Okay, where I put that pencil line, that is the line of glue you're going to extrude. And you're gonna put that line of glue in between all the pieces. And then once you've glued all the pieces on this side, you can take off your clip and it should open up like this, like an accordion. Okay, so these 8 pieces that we glued together, I'm gonna set those to the side, and now your remaining pieces, they're gonna get glued together in one stack. So I'm gonna go ahead and start lining up all of these pieces. And even though all the remaining pieces are gonna be in one stack, it may help you to divide that stack into 2 parts, glue these all together, then glue these all together, and then put them on top of each other. Otherwise, it's a lot of pieces to fit in one binder clip, and it may be hard for you to line them up and keep them straight. So now I have my 2 individual stacks, and I'm gonna put them together to make one stack. All right, and now it's all one piece. And now that I've glued up all the pieces of the body, I'm ready to start gluing up these other pieces in the cardstock paper. And again, because these pieces are so dark, I'm gonna show you how to do this on white paper so you can see what I'm doing. But on the wings and these little triangles that are outlined by this dotted line and this line here that we cut, I'm going to extrude some glue and keep the glue within that triangle. And then I'm gonna take this edge that I cut and bring it to that dotted line. Like this. I'll show that again right here. I'm going to put glue within this little triangular area, and then I'm going to bring this edge that I cut and bring it over to meet this dotted line, like this. And what that does is it gives the wings a little bit of curve to them. It makes them slightly 3D. And for this part, you might actually prefer not using hot glue, but liquid glue, because you can spread that glue out a little bit more evenly than you can hot glue. And then it's the same thing with the earpieces. We're gonna bring this edge that we cut right there over to meet this dotted line. And it does the same thing. It slightly curves the ear and gives it a little bit of three-dimensionality. And with this little piece, I'm going to put glue around that circle and then close it up like this. So now it looks like this. All right, and now I'm ready to start assembling all the pieces of my bat and putting them together. So I'm gonna grab this smaller section of the body, the one that's only comprised of 8 panels. I'm going to look at this one first. And again, I'm gonna show you on this white wing so you can see more easily what I'm trying to do. But essentially, you're going to put glue in this area here, outlined by that dotted line. So I'm gonna show you with my pencil where I'm gonna extrude glue in this area right here. And then I'm going to lay the body on top of that, bringing the edge of the body to meet that dotted line. Like that. Also, you're gonna notice on the body that there is a little corner right here and another corner right here. Those corners line up with the top of the dotted line and the bottom of the dotted line. So the length from this corner to this corner is the same length as this dotted line. Now I'm going to take the second wing and do the same thing. I'm going to glue this panel to this section here on the wing. Now I'm going to take this larger section of the body and glue it on top of here, like this. And you're going to put glue in the same places where I've put those pencil lines. And so that section is glued on now. And so now I'm going to glue this panel to the panel on the other side over here, which is going to make the body go all the way around like this. And again, I've drawn some pencil lines so you can see where I'm going to put that glue. And to keep the wings from being able to fall down and flop down like this, we are going to use this piece to support them. So again, I'll show you on the white piece what you're gonna do, but you're gonna slide this part through that slit that we cut out with the X-Acto blade earlier. That slit right there in the wing. And I'm gonna slide this through until that creased line is right there at the slit. So I want to look at this from the other side. I'm now going to cover this in glue like this, and I'm going to press it up against the underside of the wing, like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to slide this end through that slit and pull it through until that creased line is right there at the slit. And then when I flip it over, I'm gonna cover this in glue and press that on the underside of the wing. Now I'm going to put on the ears, and you can position the ears how you'd like. You can put them higher up so the ears are closer together. You can put them lower down so they're further apart, but you're going to put glue right here on that little piece that we creased, and you're going to find a panel to glue it to on the head, here at the top of the head. You may remember that there's 8 panels in between the wings. So you could glue the ears on the first panel in that set of 8 like this, and then the other ear you could glue in the last panel on that set of 8. I'm gonna hold this there and press that tab up against that panel as that glue dries and cools down. And now I'm gonna glue the other ear in there. And now it's time to glue in the feet. And again, I'm gonna show you on a white piece so you can see it more easily, but we're gonna use this dotted line to help us line this piece up when we're gluing it. But to show you how this is gonna glue in, I have an extra one of these panels of the body that I'm gonna use to demonstrate. Essentially, this dotted curve matches this curve at the end of the body. And so you're going to stick this inside of here until the dotted line lines up with that edge. Like that. And it's gonna glue inside of one of these panels. So I'm gonna put glue within that dotted line area and then insert this and then press it. So you're gonna glue these little feet at the back of the body, and I like to glue them 2 or 3 panels away from the wing. So I like to glue it right in there like that. 1, 2, 3. And now all that's left to glue on is this little tab with the holes punched through it. And you're gonna glue it on to either one of these two dotted rectangles on this piece that is on the back, like that, or like that, or you can glue it on to one of the dotted rectangles on the wings. And the angle that the bat is gonna hang at depends on which one of these rectangles you choose to glue it into. So if you want it to hang kind of downward like this, then glue it to the back rectangle. If you want it to hang kind of flying upward like this, glue it to the front rectangle. If you want it to hang like this to the side, glue it to that rectangle. If you want it to hang to the opposite side like this, then glue it to that rectangle. And I'm gonna glue mine to this rectangle. So now the bat is complete. All you need to do is get some sort of string. I like to use clear fishing line, and you're gonna run it through that hole on the tab. And tie it off so you can hang it from wherever you plan to hang it from.